Hey, well, I hope you've had a really good week, a great week. This week we are moving on from Joshua and we've moved into the book of Judges. Now we know a lot of the famous judges, and we're going to start by looking at Deborah together this week. It's a great story for us to teach our children, for both boys and girls. So you'll see on the front cover of the lesson, if you haven't downloaded this week's lesson yet, head over to truewaykids.com. You can download this week's lesson on Deborah and follow along as we go through this walkthrough video. So front cover shows a picture of Deborah underneath the palm tree, and she's ready there to go to battle. So the story of Deborah is found in Judges chapter 4, and there's a lot that we can learn from it. One of the things we should learn is to trust God even when no one else does. Deborah, she lived in a land, the children of Israel, even though they were in the promised land, they kept wandering off from God and disobeying him, and so they were under oppression of a bad king. But she trusted God to give the victory. She obeyed him. When Barak came, Barak said, I'm only going to go in battle if you come with me. He didn't have enough confidence or faith of his own, but Deborah did. And that's another important lesson we can teach our kids, is that our faith can help other people in their walk. We should encourage one another, as iron sharpens iron. So we can tell our children how they can encourage other children and even other adults to share their faith. Then finally, we just learned again, we can teach a point of that God uses us when we cry out for forgiveness. The children of Israel messed up. They disobeyed him. They didn't do what he wanted. But yet, God forgave them and brought them back and saved them once again through Deborah. So Deborah's a really important character. We can learn a lot from her. And so in the outline of this week's lesson is the introduction here. There's some tips of how you can teach this lesson as always, as well as a QR code which will take you to a YouTube playlist. We show some other videos from around the web telling the story, as well as worship ideas and additional learning. So there's the video playlist there. I've kept this format of 4 pages for the Bible stories. So you see here's telling the story of Deborah on these 2 pages. You can print them off, read them as is, or cut them out and glue them together to make a book version. Again, another idea is to, after you cut out the stories, you can mix them up on the floor and ask your child to sort them out into order to make sure they understand the chain of events. So for games and activities, there's quite a few that we've got this week. The first one is collect leaves. It's a great idea, especially if you're enjoying summer where you're at, to just go out, go for a walk and try to find different types of leaves, as many different types of leaves as possible. Part of a link to the lesson is this, that Deborah was underneath the palm tree, and we can talk about trees and leaves, and we can also look at how each leaf is unique, how they are different. Each one's a different shape, but yet they all have the same purpose to the tree. And so it's a good link for us as well, that inside the church and even in life, God gives us different abilities, but he gives us the same purpose, to glorify him. So the second one is a muddy walk. Now I'm sure that your child probably loves jumping up and down in muddy puddles much more than you do, but put on the wellies and go for a nice walk next time it's raining into a muddy field. And while you're there, you can start to explore, is it easy to walk in the mud, or is it easier to walk on the path, on the pavement? And you can see how things get stuck in the mud, how mud makes it difficult for things to move. And this links on to the lesson then of how the chariot got stuck there in the battle in Deborah. Then again, stuck in the mud. This is a classic schoolyard game. Many of us would have played it as kids. One person selected as it, and they must tag the other players. Once tagged, the player must stand with their arms out and their legs apart. And the idea is for it to tag all the players, so all the players are stuck in the mud. The player who's stuck in the mud can become unstuck if one of the other players pass underneath their arm or underneath their legs. I'm sure you played it. It's a great way just to emphasize again about being stuck in the mud, which incorporates into this week's lesson. So all these games and activities are there on the print bar with further instructions. So there's a few new words which we can learn in this week's lesson, and to help reinforce that, as well as some handwriting skills, first worksheet we're going to look at is this, important words. So we have judge, king and tree, and the child must trace around the letters. So it'll help with handwriting practice, letter recognition, as well as learn some of the vocabulary which appears in this lesson of Deborah. Linking into parts of a tree again, you see here's labels for different parts of a tree. All the child must do is draw a line. So branch, for example, draw a line to the branch. Trunk, draw a line to the branch. Roots, fruit. They start to identify the different parts of the tree. This is a trace and colouring page. So you use Deborah underneath the palm tree, and there's the outline of the palm. What they must do is just with a pen or pencil, follow along the lines to draw the palm leaves in, then colour the page in. A part of the reason why Barak was so afraid to go into battle, or so doubtful to go into battle, was the enemy had much more chariots. We had 900 chariots. So we can talk about more and less. Often if we see somebody has more than us, we become intimidated, become a bit scared. So this worksheet is about more or less, and it starts off with the chariots as links into a story. So what the child must do is draw a circle on the side which has the most. So which side has the most chariots? 1, 2, 1, 2, 3. So you would draw a circle around the 3 one. Palm trees and so on. So more or less. The idea on the next one is just simple activities to design a shield. So you can have your child on the lesson plan. I put a D for Deborah, and maybe you can help your child to write their letter, or the first letter of their name here. So J for John, being me, or T for Timothy, being my son. You could write there and put some decorations and colours around it. You could even put it on the card and stick some things on, or some silver foil. You let your imagination carry you through what you do there. Well, this week's craft is a chariot craft, and the instructions are to download here, as well as a template. So you'll see here's a printable template. I recommend that you print this onto card. It'll work much better, as well as pictures of a horse. And here's the picture of the craft, or the example of a craft when it's done. You see in such a way that the wheels actually turn around. So there's such some a big straw and small straw passing through it. Then they can actually drive it around on the table. It's great fun to make. It can be a bit tricky taping this bit in place, but it's not so bad. With your child, you'll be able to do it easily, and it'll take probably about 15 minutes. A bit more if you add some time to colour it in a bit more detail. But it's fun, easy. All you need is some cardboard, 2 straws of different sizes, some fastener pins, sellotape, and a lollipop stick. And then you're ready to go. So again, the template is in the lesson. Just download it, print off the card, and that'll really help you. A couple of colouring pages here is the enemy here as he's stuck in the mud. So that's just a nice simple one to colour in. Again, a picture of Deborah underneath the tree. Again, you can colour it in throughout the week. And then the last page is worship and ideas and prayer time. So here's the link to the worship songs I recommend. Again, the QR code in the front or here will take you through to a YouTube playlist where you can look at all these songs and sing along to them. Prayer suggestions, I just recommend that we talk about maybe thanking God that He forgives us, that He forgives people. Even though the children of Israel messed up over and over again, God forgave them. And then we can pray, asking God to help us to share our faith with others, as Deborah shared her faith and encouraged others. And while we're doing it, we need to thank God for the people who will help us in our faith and encourage us to serve Him. Next week's lesson you see below is on Gideon and Gideon's calling. So we'll carry on our series for a couple of weeks now, looking at some of the judges as we go through the Old Testament. And that's really it for this week's lesson. If you haven't subscribed, I encourage you to do so, and I'll send you these lessons by email each week so you can download them there. I just really hope you have a great week as you explore God's Word with your child this week. Again, I haven't mentioned it for a while, but as I put these lesson packs, my recommendation isn't that you try to tackle everything in one go, because this would be overwhelming for a child, especially under 5. But pick out the resources which work best with your child, which are their favourites. You can also spread them throughout the week, so you reinforce a lesson, not just in a 1 hour sit-in, but do a little bit each day. And it'll really start to sink in, and it'll start to absorb the Bible story as well as the Old Testament as we keep walking through it this year. So God bless you. Have a great week, and I'll see you next Friday with next week's lesson on Gideon. God bless.